Another day in the NBA here, one last slate to close out 2025, and yet the work begins, it always does, here on the Splash Play channel. We're going to dig in and compare my projections to one of the industry leaders out there, our friends over at Stokastic. We'll see who the top plays are, who the top value plays are. Let's go game by game, check the ownership, see where the leverage spots are, what are the highest team totals, things like that. We'll hop over to Stokastic, run a sim without my interference, without my hand on the wheel, so you can see what the best plays are according to them. I'll do a hand build, and by the end of this video, guys, for the last time of 2025, you're gonna know all the must plays in the NBA. December 31st. Let's get into it. It was a good slate for me yesterday. Had a top 50 finisher in the 4-point play. Cashed a bunch in the big tournament as well, so felt good about that. Of course, my gold star lock of the day, Anthony Simons. He did exactly what we all thought. Really one of those outcomes where I got more Simons in the field after fudding him down here on the show is always my goal. I try to tell you guys, hey, I'm not going to play this guy. He sucks. Then I play him left and right. But no, like, he got into lineups of mine because he was a little bit under-owned. He's pretty cheap, and he made lineups work well enough, and that's the thing with DFS. And I think it's something, too, that people struggle with. I mean, based on some of the comments I was weeding through before the show from one guy with the Celtics avatar in particular, like, sometimes people don't get that, like, results don't equal process. Anthony Simons in that game yesterday closed it out with 4 guards and a center closing it out, which is something the Celtics haven't done, as best I could tell, in the last 10 games going through the last couple rotations, just to see if I was right about that. So he got that. He also got 5+ rebounds in that game, something Simons never does either. Sometimes you should just be grateful for getting the lucky outcome and not being right. And for me, got the lucky outcome. I would say not the right outcome. But shout out to Fistula here. Have the best 26 bags. Hope you have the time to write a book someday. I fucking no. Shout out all you guys in chat. Steven, we got Georgia here. Appreciate all you guys being here live, of course, and appreciate all you guys who watched after the fact. And it's been a good 2025 for the channel here. Only about 2.5 months of getting ramped back up to the NBA. But of course, we did do all of last NBA season, going through all the way to the finals. That's the goal again here. So strap in, guys. I'm going to keep doing the work as best I can here. Can't always get everything right, but in general, I think we're going to get more things right than not, and that's the goal. Let's have some fun doing this stuff, and let's try to make some money here one more time here in 2025. Though I don't know if it's going to help the taxable income for 2025. That won't offset all the losses, unfortunately, if you win today, because you won't get paid until 2026. Either way, though, your top projected players. We got Nikola Jokic, so that's why we got a J-Val thumbnail, a Joe Val thumbnail. It's why you got Jamal Murray up top here. I'm at 51.9 fantasy points. Stokastic has him at 49. Field at 39% ownership. I'm getting a very nice 69% for Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray, if you want to add some little narrative on top, he's in Canada today. They're playing at Toronto. So for Jamal Murray, 9,300 priced up already. And this is, I would think, the worst part of the slate. Like, sucks we're losing Nikola Jokic for a month, maybe more. Who knows how that goes, with a knee recovery for a very important player. But also, like, the Nuggets are priced up for this now. So Jamal Murray, pretty expensive at 9,300. There's been times he crested towards that price tag, even with Jokic in. So you can make the case it's a little bit cheap. But Denver today, not really the total you want to see, 111 implied points. Overall, Toronto, the game that they're playing in today, 228.5, one of our lowest totals on the slate. The big thing for Denver, though, is that nobody else in this team does anything besides Jamal Murray and Jonas Valanciunas. So really going to those guys today, no issue with it. It does feel like right now a lot of ownership for me and Murray. I think that number comes down a little bit more as we get closer to lock. But for Jamal Murray, he looks like a good play, should gain a rate uptick. Though I will point out, like, his fantasy points per minute are actually down a good amount when you take Jokic off the court. And real fast, I'll show you the NBA Wowie, because I think data like this is important for you guys if you want to actually get good at understanding NBA, knowing how stuff like this looks like. Let's go to NBA Wowie here. Nuggets. We're going to take off Jokic. We'll keep the other Aaron Gordon, that tier of guys on. But just Jokic off. And just this season, Jamal Murray's played 4 to 11 possessions, so not quite the 1,000. That's where rates start to be really stable and predictable moving forward. Only 24% usage. So he's actually gotten less shots up than his normal 27.6% usage on the year. Assists 9 per 100, which is pretty close to where he is normally. It's actually up a good amount. But point being, the usage isn't there as high. His fantasy production, only 1.04 fantasy points a minute. It gets worse, too, if you take off Aaron Gordon. Let's put all the guys off real fast. It's gonna shrink the sample size a little bit too much. But you can see here, my assumption is really just that Jamal Murray is not gonna be able to get his shot off as well, because there's nobody who actually takes any defensive attention away. But Jamal Murray with Gordon, Brown, Cam Johnson, and of course, most importantly, Nikola Jokic off, 250 possessions, 26% usage, rounding up. He does get a little more in the assist column, 10 assists, but 53% true shooting, well under league average, well under where he's been all year long. It's 62% true shooting. So he's shooting appreciably worse in these situations and only 1.06 fantasy points per minute. So my concern for Jamal Murray playing him today is that we get the guy putting up 1.1 fantasy points per minute. And at that point, I don't think he pays off a $9,300 price tag, but he should play better. He does have the added motivation of playing in his home country. It's the first game without Jokic. Like, I think if he's going to play well, this is probably the spot for him to do it. But I do look at that price tag. It's pretty aggressive. Look at my projection. It's also pretty aggressive. It's a lot of Jamal Murray right now. No one generally does something more for Denver, but someone will. Why is Murray's projection that high then? Because basically Jokic leaves behind X amount of stats. Aaron Gordon leaves behind X amount of stats. So on and so forth down the food chain. They have to go somewhere. So what my data assumes is that Denver, with a total of 111 implied points, will put up what they normally put up statistically to get to 111 implied points. I think that's how most projection systems work, but if it helps, that's how mine works. So basically, even though Jamal Murray has been a less good producer overall, the data assumes that he's going to pull in, that Jokic points in the same rate that he would normally score points himself. It assumes that he'll pull in the assists that are vacated by Jokic at the same rate he normally notches them. And that might not be the case. They might just be like really bad. Tim Hardaway Jr. should somehow find a way to starting. He's producing well. I mean, he hasn't really been producing well. He's shooting well. I guess it's 63% true shooting. But only, 0.76 fantasy points per minute. Usage at 17.5%. He's really, nobody on the team's doing anything. Like, the big thing is that nobody on the team has done anything of note besides, the guys who are out. So, and Jamal Murray and Joe Val. So you can make whatever assumptions you want. I think that's totally fair to take those leaps of faith. But in reality, like, there's nothing underlying the rates for anybody besides, I guess, Curtis Jones, who's getting up a lot of shots. He's got 27.6% usage on the year. But like, nobody else on the team's really getting shots up. Strother a little bit. He's over 20. Everybody else on the team under a 20% usage rate. So can one of them step up? Yes. Is there anything that supports that based on what they've done this year? No. Denny Avdia, 33% sim ownership for me in my top 150. Fields at 16. Avdia, we have no Jeremy Grant today. Still no Scoot. Still no Drew Holiday. For Portland as well. They're going against OKC. It's a weird spot because Portland, the total here is awful. Portland, a dog by 16.5 points on the road. But I do think for Denny Avdia here, he has played OKC well, including the last game. I believe he almost had a triple-double in that last spot. But for, how he's played this year, Portland has beaten OKC. Portland's been competitive against OKC. I think they beat him once. I think they held competitive in the other game. But for Avdia here, the big thing is that you really have a lot of guys out. He's point guard, small forward at 9,700. And Avdia projects for 49.5 fantasy points for me. Stokastic a little more conservative at 47. You do run the risk of them getting blown out here. Portland shorthanded and a gigantic underdog on the road. But Avdia, I think getting above the field here, even if not 2x the field, probably something that I get today. Giannis, I think, unplayable at this point. 27-minute projection. His minutes somewhat limited. Obviously, he's playing with some fire, throwing down tomahawk dunks at the end of the games where the game's already over. But for Giannis here, if he's going to play under 30 minutes, I don't see how you get there. Straight up with that minutes total, I have Murray and Avdia projected better, and SGA also, not super well projected, but in that same range, add a little bit cheaper. So I don't really see the spot to go to Giannis today, but the field's at 7%. I'm getting none right now. SGA fields at 12%. I am also getting none. Last game, the Hawks hung in there a little bit more than expected. Alexander Walker going hard against his cousin, SGA, and maybe that results in a few more minutes for these guys, but really, supposed that the game was competitive. It's the fourth quarter. SGA played just shy of 36 minutes in that spot. If you get somehow Portland being competitive again, you might get SGA playing, mid-30s minutes. If you don't, though, the 30-minute projection is probably where it should be. So for SGA, hard to get there. I do think, though, if I'm playing Avdia, I should probably get some SGA, because if Avdia is successful enough, you probably get SGA playing that fourth quarter. Jalen Brunson fields at 12%. I am at 9. Brunson not getting the massive rate uptick that you might think that one would get with Josh Hart off, with Mitchell Robinson off. That's mostly benefiting Karl-Anthony Towns, who performs about 1.5 fantasy points a minute with those guys unavailable, because he gets more rebounds, gets a little more usage as well, and assist upside. He gets a little bit of everything. For SGA, or for Jalen Brunson, 9,400 to me, not really priced in a way where I want to get there the same way as Jamal Murray, as Avdia. But a 12% ownership, as we always talk about here, he is a pivot to those guys. But he's a pivot because he's not as well projected. So Jalen Brunson, no real issue with it. But they are playing San Antonio. Not a great total for the Knicks with 116.5 implied points. Doesn't scream a Jalen Brunson spot, but he's a fine play to pay up for. Let's see. We got Karl Anthony Towns. I'm at 15%, Fields at 10. Again, he's put up 1.5 fantasy points per minute without Josh Hart, without Mitchell Robinson, because he gets to play center a little bit more. He was actually pretty good last game. Just got into foul trouble that inhibited him. So I'm cool going back to Towns, even though at 9,200, kind of think the upside's priced out of it. Stokastic, you won't get him very much. His projection at 43 is just not really there with a $9,200 salary. With my 45.2 projection, you can get there. He's just not a great projected play overall. How can you message me? On Discord at Chris Spags, I guess, but it should be pretty straightforward about how to do stuff. But yeah, I don't know. DM me on Twitter too if you want. Victor Wembanyama 7%, Fields 7% as well. At 9,900, the price tag finally coming down a little bit. You do get Devin Vassell out today as well, so at least one guy gets decent usage off the court. For Wemby though, I think the price tag's still not all the way there for me. As I've talked about, when we have Fox in, we have Castle in, we have Dylan Harper in. That's a lot of guys that do get enough shots up. Wemby as well, minutes not fully uncapped yet because they don't want him to re-hurt himself. He might not get reliably above 30 minutes. At 9,900, I think he's playable. I'm above the field, so I guess that's good. But really not a big stand on Wemby here. Scotty Barnes, Fields at 27. I'm at 25. For Scotty Barnes at 8,300, price tag's okay. RJ Barrett coming back in today. And it does seem like that muted the Raptors price tags a little bit. So these guys look more playable than they normally would, where guys tend to stay priced up for when a teammate's coming back in. I think because Barrett was supposed to come back in earlier, they never really got that algorithm right. So Toronto probably a little bit cheap for where you are even with Barrett in. But Barrett probably played minutes limited as well, so that helps out. But Barnes, Fields at 25. I'm at 27. No real big stands here. But Toronto, in that game today, going against Denver, they're going to probably win the game, you would think. And if nothing else, they might blow Denver out. Certainly, people always get spooked about blowouts, but in blowouts, the production has to go somewhere. So if they do blow out Denver today, I don't think the total would indicate that. It only being a 6.5 point spread. If they did blow out Denver, like Barnes probably has a hand in that, Ingram, quickly, etc. Kevin Porter Jr., Fields at 16. I am at 13. My projection's also about 3 fantasy points lower than Stokastic's. Porter Jr. at 8,400. Price tag's coming down. He's still playing 35 plus minutes, but now Ryan Rollins back in, seemingly getting some more usage as a starter, and he does play better, alongside Giannis, as opposed to a guy like Kevin Porter Jr., who I think is a much better player when he just has the unencumbered, run to things. But for Kevin Porter Jr., still has a ceiling, obviously. 35-minute projection looks pretty good. But the field's there. I think 15%, 16% ownership, that feels like enough. 20, that's enough. Brandon Ingram, Fields at 24%. I'm at 21. Getting a little bit too cheap, even with getting RJ Barrett back in. Ingram, really consolidated offense at this point for Toronto. All the guys benefit as well from not having Pirtle in. So Brandon Ingram, 39 projection for me, still gets him in about 21% of my lineups. Stokastic's 40-point projection gets him in about a quarter. And Nikola Vucevic, the Bulls. So we got the Nuggets fully priced, I think, for life without Jokic. Bulls, so not priced for life without Josh Giddey, who's going to be out a couple weeks. Kobe White is going to be out at least a week now. But the Bulls, at this point, Vucevic is going to look a lot better. And real fast, we should actually go to the NBA Wowie for it, because Chicago is a team where we can get a read on the rates here for no Gidler and no Kobe. Shout out Robert the Turd here. Happy New Year. I appreciate it. Happy New Year to all you guys. I may be full of squirt is always a fun sentence. And also like Rollins over Porter. I think we'll see in a moment that my data does as well. But definitely, both guys really shouldn't be that great of a play because of Giannis being back in and, creeping back, taking more of that role. Again, we talked about it yesterday with Ja Morant. What happened yesterday? He looked probably the best he has visually, since coming back from injury, really since having his little disagreement with the coach. I think for how it looks for Milwaukee, it should be the same thing there. Giannis keeps minutes increasing a little bit by little bit, usage increasing a little bit by little bit. So I don't think either guy should really be a priority today. But the Bulls over here, without Giddey, without Kobe White, you can see Trey Jones putting up 1 fantasy point per minute. He should be the big minutes leader, along with gaining a pretty good amount rate-wise, puts up about 10 assists per 100 possessions when you have Giddey and Kobe White off the court. DeSumo averages 1.07 fantasy points per minute. Kevin Huerter, 1.05. Vucevic down here at 1.07. So really the big thing you're going to find in my data, Buzelis at 1.01. Nobody's a big winner here. You got a bunch of moderate winners / they all become pretty decent fantasy plays and produce at pretty equitable parts, largely because my assumption would be Josh Giddey, rebounds, assists, he grabs all that stuff, gets good amount of usage. It just all flows naturally to these guys, and none of them are really, excellent at rebounding, excellent at assisting. So just, kind of comes out like a projection would, where the stats get redistributed kind of evenly here. So the Bulls all look good. But Vucevic here, a top projected guy for me at 37.5. Stokastic has him higher at just shy of a 42 projection. That means he gets in 50% of Stokastic's lineups, only about 25% of mine. But you're going to get a lot of Bulls. I don't think Vucevic is appreciably a better play than the other Bulls at this point with where the Bulls rotation is. But they all look better because Giddey and Kobe White, like that's, like honestly, like 60% of their offense and their statistical production is just now gone. Generally curious about your opinion on Javon Carter today. Dude and Giddey, is he looking good? Not as good as the other guys, but again, you got to go to the guys that are up on the rotation, not down on it. So, I mean, Carter will gain a few minutes. Look at real fast here. I'm just sorting the screen here at the same time. You see he produces 0.8 fantasy points a minute, so he's not producing as well as the other guys. He's also further down the rotation. So your priorities are Jones, Herter. I mean, you're going to see the guys here in value in a moment. When we sort by value in a moment, but like Carter can hit, but like he is down the food chain in terms of what the minutes expectation is going to be. Guys, before we get to the top values of the day, please do help me out. Hit that like button and subscribe. Goes a long way for me here. Again, I'm just one person showing you my gambling, and literally, again, this is not disrespect those sites, but I just being real with you guys. It's pretty cool, I think. I get more views than Run Pure Sports. I get more views than Ship It on a daily basis. I don't get more views than Josh Engelman, but I'm right there with him. It's really cool for me to see the growth, in large part because you guys have been supporting the show, enjoying the content, hitting the like button and subscribing. But ultimately, the more you keep doing that, the more I can keep pushing this plane as high as I could fly. And really, I was going through just kind of seeing what other DFS shows are out there, and I get it with where the space is. There's not a lot of shit out there. So if you want me to not go the way of the dodo like all the other DFS content, help me out. Keep hitting that like button. Please keep subscribing. Keep joining the channel as well. Of course, $5 if you want to join the channel as a supporter, be a part of the live chats. If you also want to get access to the Discord, that $5 will get you in there as well. But the big thing is you're supporting the show there. If you want my data updated throughout the night as well, you can get that. One of the Squirt Squad tiers. I'd recommend for most people just the Squirt Squad tier, but if you are good with CSVs, you know, to use projections, join the VIP tier and you get my projections updated throughout the night. Same ones that I use, same ones that I've finished top 100. I mean, I had a first place a couple of weeks ago, but I finished top 100 5 times in the last 3 weeks. So like, I feel good about my process right now, my projections right now. Just would like that to be wins more than, top 100, but top 100 is like a win. That's what they say with variance. Our top value plays. And thank you for the kind words. We provide wonderful conditional projections that allow a busy dad to lock an EV plus EV. I appreciate that. And of course, Robert Griffin III knows better than most because he's been a part of this journey since earlier than I would say almost all you guys. But shout out to all you guys hanging out here. Again, Happy New Year to everybody tuning in live and all you guys watching after the fact as well. Trey Jones here. We got at a 30-minute projection. As a result, he looks like a great value at $4,500. Kevin Herter, $4,300 salary. Shooting guard, small forward, 28-minute projection. These are the guys you're going to want from the Bulls. At the very least, these guys are going to project the best. Can Javon Carter outperform these guys? Can they get in foul trouble or something and Carter takes minutes away? Possibly. But you're playing then micro outcomes. We're trying to play as macro of an outcome as we can relative to the field's ownership. So the field's at 80% Trey Jones. I'm getting 91. The field's at 59% Kevin Herter. I'm getting 73. I'm a little bit low on Trey Jones compared to Stokastic's projection. I've met 33. They have met 34. Kevin Herter, I'm a little bit higher on. I've met 30.5. Stokastic has met 29. Doesn't really matter, though. You give these guys 28, 29 fantasy points, even probably 26, 27. They're going to come up a lot. So Trey Jones, Kevin Herter, priorities. They're going to be the majority of my lineups. Mattis Buzelis here. We got 51% ownership for the field. I'm getting 68. Another guy as well. We just saw the rates. They all get about 1 fantasy point per minute with Josh Giddey off. Buzelis does have a massive ceiling. We've seen it when he hits some threes in particular. But, not going to get as much from assists. Usage-wise, I would think that, checking the screen over here at the same time, Buzelis gains the most usage-wise. He gets up to about 24.5% usage without Giddey and Kobe White on the court. That would technically be higher than Vucevic at 23.5, 24 rounded up. So yeah, Buzelis should be the one that gets a real big uptick in shots. If he misses them, he might not play as well, but, can contribute rebounds, blocks. Buzelis at 4,600. Bulls just not the right price tag today. 68% Buzelis for me. Fields at 51. A lot of just talking in other channels. That's why I'm always here. You and Josh show is what we need. I appreciate that. And a whole lot of Bulls today should be interesting. Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's definitely a slate where you feel okay enough with the matchup they have going against New Orleans, where like, you kind of cast a quizzical eye towards these teams sometimes where it's like, oh, the stars are out and they're playing OKC, like, Atlanta the other day. And you have some players that hit, but you have a lot of guys that fail in those kind of situations. For Chicago going against New Orleans, it's a little bit of a pace down spot, but even then, New Orleans is playing a little bit faster lately. But it's a bad defense. These Bulls players that are filling in are all pretty confident. So I really don't mind the Bulls chalk, even if if you're playing 5-6 Bulls in a lineup, you're probably spreading that a little bit too thin. You want to consolidate more in 3, maybe 4. Jonas Valanciunas at number 4. So this is really the big one here. And I will say too, I ran SaberSim as well before the show just to see where it landed. Stokastic with my projection for Valanciunas of 33.6 fantasy points. Stokastic has him at 37. I'm only getting him in 35% of my lineups. With SaberSim, I got him in like 45. So my projection being, 3 fantasy points lower than Stokastic seems to be that defining line between getting Valanciunas in almost every lineup versus getting him in, less than half. But Valanciunas, I think if he puts up 33, it'll be a good score. Definitely a score you want in a cash game. But I think it's possible that your tournament lineups may look a little too chalky. If you're playing the Bulls chalk, if you're playing Joe Val, and relative to salaries, I do think the Bulls chalk is more important. Now, if the Bulls fail tonight, if they all suck, it's a possibility, I guess, even though the total would seemingly not indicate that, and Joe Val goes nuts, that Joe Val is going to make the winning lineup, and your way to get unique was to fade the Bulls chalk, and you play the chalky Joe Val. But I think if you're choosing between the two, I think you want more Bulls chalk. And then you do just wanting to blindly go into Joe Val because he's kind of priced. He'll be more expensive for sure. He'll be $6K, maybe $6,500 in a couple games if he's getting reliable minutes. He did play, last game when Jokic went out. Played about 10, 11 minutes in that third quarter because Jokic got hurt right before the second half. Played about 11 minutes there, didn't get back in. Actually, real fast, I'll pull up the popcorn machine because another important part of the process here, even though it's not glamorous to look up popcorn machine. But you see here, Joe Val played 11 minutes in that third quarter, did not come back in. So they tried to make a run here, and it might have been they wanted more three-point shooting. They just wanted to go small because of the matchup, I guess, because there was no Bam, no Ware on the court. But you did see Joe Val not come back in. So that's the risk point, is that Denver could go small. Denver, with how not good they are right now, they could prioritize shooting as opposed to Joe Val being out there. But I think Joe Val gets that first crack. So practically for me, I think 75% Joe Val, it's probably a little bit too rich. I think you want to see other lineups that don't include him. But 50%, probably a better number to me than a third of your lineups. I think Joe Val's a very good play. But I think there is a little more risk to it than it might seem. And I also think that there's just some game theory that other centers could beat him out. Ayo Dosunmu, another guy who's more expensive than Trey Jones, than Herter, than Buzelis. But, for Jalen Smith, for Dosunmu, these guys still cheap enough with the role increase, and they both produce over 1 fantasy point per minute with Giddey and Kobe White off. So Dosunmu, the field's at 35. I'm getting 40. Jalen Smith, I'm getting 45%. The field's at 33. Whatever Bulls you get, I'll have no argument with it. Though I do think, again, not cramming them all into every lineup is probably the wisest move. What do I think of the Joe Val minutes? I probably just said that to some extent, but I think they're being conservative with 24.5 minutes right now. I think if you're going to be a little more aggressive with it, he probably is going to play that second quarter stint no matter what. So you're talking maybe 10 minutes first quarter, 5 or 6 second quarter, another 10 third quarter, and then whether he closes or not, who knows? So he probably should be 26, 27 minute projection, be my guess. But he has the potential, if they really want to keep him out there, he could play 30 to 35, I think, theoretically. So that's why I don't want to be crazy light to him, even though I do want to see, again, what lineups look like without him, because people might just lock button him in. I'm not sure that's the move. If Denver gets smoked, Joe Val's not going to be out there. Jamal Murray, 39% ownership. I'm at 69%. We talked about already. Trey Murphy, 21% for me. Fields at 28. At 6,800, he seems a bit underpriced. Pelicans running hot right now. They're playing also a Bulls team that is not very good. And the total here in this game at 248.5 is your highest of the day by a decent clip. So getting Pelicans a little bit today, soft matchup, and really seems like both teams are not going to defend well. You hope that they hit their shots because it could be a really high total game today. Ryan Rollins, I'm getting 32% fields at 11. Again, my data has a little bit of a bias towards Ryan Rollins, I think in particular in matchups where the opposing team gives up some extra three-point shooting. Rollins, one of the most prolific three-point shooters on the Bucks right now. But that said, I have him at 35.2. Stokastic has him at 33.2. I think he's a little bit cheap at 6,400, but he's not a priority really. Like I'm getting him 3x the field because that, what's unique in my projections, I do want to generally get more than the field of. But that's a big stand on Ryan Rollins that I wouldn't advocate, for you guys. Like if I get him like that, I don't have an issue with it. It's my data. I'm playing my data. Sadiq Bey, I'm at 28%, fields at 14. He keeps getting shots up. The sort of segmenting him away from Zion's been helpful as well, I think. But Sadiq Bey has been a good producer. He's getting reliable minutes. Stokastic today has him for 33.6. My projection at 32.4, a little bit higher than theirs at 31, but it'll still look playable in their data. Again, Sadiq Bey, kind of like Ryan Rollins, not a priority to me, but my data does favor these guys a little bit. So if I get him more in the field, that sort of is what it is. And AJ Mitchell, another guy my data definitely favors here. Big total against Portland does benefit him, kind of like the big total for Boston benefits a guy like Simons yesterday for how that worked out for the Celtics. But AJ Mitchell fields at 3%. I'm getting 12. Not a big stand here, but at 4,800, he's kind of priced similarly to the Bulls guys. So I imagine if you have a chalky lineup, a guy like AJ Mitchell maybe gets unique as opposed to the very high ownership. And you're talking literally 40x the ownership on Trey Jones, comparable amounts for Herter, Buzelis. That's the reason why. Does Dylan Harper become a thing if beautiful UConn boy Stephon Castle's ruled out? I don't know if he becomes a thing, but he becomes a better play. I mean, the good news is you'll know that one before the slate locks. So, because that is the first game on the slate with San Antonio. But I don't know that he would become a must-have play with where his price tag is, but definitely would become more in the playable range. Right now, I have him at 25.5 at a $5,200 salary, so he'd probably come up to like 27, 28, maybe a little bit more than that. We're going to go game by game, guys. And again, this is the view that you'll see normally if you are a Squirt Squad member. No Stokastic data included in terms of the projections and ownership from their stuff. But here we're going to go game by game using their data, and you can see it all along the way. But guys, again, hit that like button and subscribe. Big deal here on the channel to keep fighting the YouTube algorithm by hitting that like button and subscribing. It does mean a lot to me here. Again, I show up and do the work on my half no matter what. It'd really mean a lot for me, go a long way for me. If you guys do the same on your end, hit that like button and subscribe so that we keep growing things around here. Of course, Stokastic, also 15% off the promo code SPLASH, the only deal they have going right now, so do check it out. Link down below, and then use the promo code when you get asked for a promo code over there to get the money off. But anything weekly, anything monthly, any sport, cheap packages, expensive packages, it is all 15% off, and half the money you pay to them comes back to me. So please do join down below, get good data in your life. If you're not using mine, Stokastics will be, it's going to be even better. Like, you're getting closer to the market, obviously, but there's a lot of people winning a lot of money, including that guy Inverted Cheese won $1 million last week with it. So check out Stokastic. And last but not least, if you want to support the show here, be a part of the live streams, join for $5 down below. If you also just want to be in the Discord, same $5 will get you in there. If you want my data, all that stuff, join the Squirt Squad tiers and the VIP tiers, and you get those things accordingly. That's as it's listed down below. All right, New York, 116.5 implied points. San Antonio, 119. Today, we got this game in New Orleans, Chicago. Both tipping off at 7, so probably our two most important news games that we'll know that information when things lock, so that's all good there. But for this spot with New York here, not a ton of ownership coming in. Get them above the field on Karl-Anthony Towns, a little bit under it on Jalen Brunson, but 10 to 15% of either guy feels like enough. They're not projected super well, even though they should look okay with Hart and Mitchell Robinson out. Really, the only big rate winner with those guys out has been Towns. I know Anunoby played well last game, but that's in part because Towns got in foul trouble. He wasn't out there as much. Anunoby, 3% kind of play. He's okay. Mikal Bridges, I'm getting 9. Fields at 5.5. The minutes are there for these guys. Really concentrated rotation at this stage of things, but San Antonio matchup, a little bit better than league average defense. Total for the Knicks, not as good as their normal scoring is. Hard to love it, but, kind of felt that way about Philadelphia Memphis yesterday, and that went off. And that's just kind of how DFS goes sometimes. San Antonio, 119 employed points on their side. De'Aaron Fox seemed to be the biggest rate winner from no Devin Vassell. Gets a few more shots up, somehow a little more assist upside as well without Vassell. I think my guess is that Castle and Vassell connect more for assists, but that's just me kind of anecdotally from what I've seen from watching Spurs games. Nobody here stands out too much from the Spurs. Wemby at 7%, I'm getting a little bit more. Castle at 7%, I'm getting a little bit less. Fox at 17%, I'm getting 11. Dylan Harper coming up a little bit. Again, if Castle's out, like Robert Griffin III just asked, I think that you will get Harper and Fox looking infinitely better. And then really Champagny might enter the picture more. Barnes might look playable at 4K. But with all these guys in, don't really see the spot here. But, it's unowned on a 4-game slate or a 5-game slate. That's your reason to maybe consider this game more. And some of the best lineups yesterday did game stack, Philadelphia, Memphis, because there wasn't a lot of ownership on that game. That's your case for a game like that. It just doesn't project that well, but obviously it's a basketball game. It could always work out. These guys put up good fantasy scores, no matter what salary they're at. New Orleans, 123.5 implied points. Chicago, 125. If I had to guess, this one goes under. It's just like, I feel like these high total games where the teams aren't actually that good, I tend to think those play under. But it is New Year's Eve. It is, two crappy defenses. It is, two teams that, well, on Chicago's side, a lot of injuries at this point, and guys filling in for stars are going to take a lot more usage and probably get up more shots and be really stoked about the opportunity. But this is going to be your chalk game of the night, I think. Zion, the field's at 46%. I'm only getting 5. I don't know why. There's nothing rate-wise that would make me think I need to change something. So I'm not sure what Stokastic's getting. My guess would be we're doing that thing again where per 100 possessions this year, Zion has not been as good as prior Zion. But when Stokastic favors that longer-term sample size more, you get guys like LeBron looking better. You get guys like Zion looking better. It's a lot of ownership for the field of Zion. I get he's a little bit cheaper. The minutes have been up as well. I think he got to 30 last game. Just checking it in a different tab real fast. Got to 29 last game, including the start in that one. So it mostly played short bursts, like about 6-7 minute bursts. Yeah, no, I don't have an issue with Zion, but at 46% ownership, that's one of your ways to get unique if you're going to play all the Bulls chalk, if you're going to play Joval. So Zion, the field's there. I am not there. But I do him at, 1.22 fantasy points a minute. He's normally at 1.26. I don't have an issue with Zion besides the fact the field's going to play him heavy, and my projection doesn't support that. Trey Murphy, though, I am getting above the field on 28%, field's 21. Again, not really over projecting anybody here either, so I'm not sure where my Zion projection's going to. But Murphy looks okay to me at 6,800, playing very reliable minutes for this Pelicans team that is also playing better, and they're playing the Bulls, so that helps out too. Sadiq Bey, same thing, getting him at 28%, same as Trey Murphy's 28%. Derek Queen, I'm getting at 20, the field's at 7, and that's with my projection being a little bit lower than Stokastic's. Jordan Poole, the one I'm not getting to, so Poole and Zion are my two big anti-stands here, so if you want to fade me on Pelican stuff, play those guys either with the field or above it. Chicago, 125 implied points here, so really high total, given the fact that we are missing their two key players with Giddey and Kobe White out. But that said, with that total, it means that Vucevic should produce fairly well. Dosunmu, Jalen Smith, Buzelis, Trey Jones, Herter. We've talked about all these guys already, but I am at 25%. Vucevic, fields at 50. So that's the one I am low on here. Certainly at center, there's some opportunity costs, but Vucevic and Joval probably be two of the first clicks a lot of people make tonight. I would assume we would shooting guard, small forward, willing to pay that price tag still with his minutes likely up. Expect him to get the start today, I think, in this Stokastic minute run. Matsis Buzelis, 68% ownership for me. Trey Jones, 91. The field's at 80. Herter, I'm at 73. The field's at 59. It's a very chalky spot, but it should be because that total's crazy high. They're playing an awful team. Pace is down a little bit in the spot, but not so much that would matter. You're just missing players that do too much for Chicago, and that's how that goes. Speaking of the same thing, Denver, 111 implied points. Toronto, 117.5. No Jokic here. Still no Gordon. Still no Brown. Still no Cam Johnson. So Jamal Murray, all the stats should flow his way then because he's the only guy that puts up usage on the team. As we talked about, his rates have actually not been that good with the various Nuggets off the court, only averaging about 1.1 rounding up fantasy points a minute. On the year, he's been at 1.22, but counting for the matchup here and what's vacated stats-wise, I'd have him at 1.45. This is one spot where if you want to trust one part of the data that says like he's been awful with all the Nuggets out, you could definitely defer that way, be under the field's 40% ownership basically on Jamal Murray. But my big belief and the way that my data works is that when a guy is out, the assumption is that, and you have the Vegas total at a certain point, those points have to go somewhere. The stats that normally contribute to the team scoring that amount of points has to go somewhere. Jamal Murray's a logical guy to get that. So I think you want to be above the field on Murray, but if you're really think Denver just gets their ass kicked, then go under and you'll be unique for that. Joval, the field's 75%. I'm getting 35. So it's another stand I'm a little bit low on here. Again, if you give him like 27 minutes, I think he'd be unavoidable for me too. But at 24 and a half minutes, the projection for me only at 33.6. Stokastic is closer to 37 with the projection they're giving Joe Val. He's been a great producer on the year, 1.25, but I'm giving him 1.37 fantasy points minute today. So with that minutes outlay, I just don't see how that maths, but he can play 30 plus if things break the right way. So I don't think I'll be this low on Joe Val. I think I will be under 75% or whatever. I don't think he's a lock button play. If he were priced like he normally is the backup, he would be. But at 5,500, it's priced in a little bit. It's not priced in all the way. Nothing else in Denver looks good, though, for what it's worth, which kind of surprised me, but thought they'd look more like Chicago, but they do not. Toronto, 117.5 implied points. As I mentioned, the Raptors not really priced correctly for RJ Barrett coming back in. Barrett Stokastic giving a minutes limited 24 minutes here. And given the fact he's had, a leg injury for a while, and then was supposed to come back and then didn't come back on time, I think he should be more conservative on his minutes, which does mean Barnes, Ingram quickly, all a little bit underpriced. Barnes, about 25% ownership for the field. Ingram, same thing. I'm close to both of those. Quickly, closer to 10%. I'm getting 11 here. Quickly on some slates, pops up a lot for me, like versus Washington. Went nuts on him. He was great there. Today, not popping up quite as much with him not getting as good enough of a rate uptick here with Barrett back in. But still no Pirtle for the team, so does help out a little bit. Washington, 111.5 implied points here. No Keyshawn George, but nobody looks that great still. McCollum seems to be the biggest winner rate-wise. Boosted his projection to 33.1 by giving him some more usage that he normally gets with Keyshawn George off. But 8% ownership is all I'm getting. McCollum getting Sarr at 9%. Sarr's minutes also very limited since coming back from injury. Don't believe he's played 30 minutes once. So it's not great for him either at 7K. Yeah, I don't really see a lot for Washington. Again, another spot, not much ownership for the game. So if you want to get here, you can, but not a great total for Washington. And frankly, losing George, he's probably the most important player right now. And I don't think they're very good without him, but not they're good with him either. Milwaukee, 122 implied points here. Despite getting the Washington matchup, nobody really projecting that great. Ryan Rollins, though, with his assist upside, with the three-point shooting, a little bit of rebounding. He does all those worse than Kevin Porter Jr. But, the scoring is pretty comparable. I have Rollins coming up the most here, 32% of my lineups, as we talked about. The field's at 10 and change. Kevin Porter Jr. getting 13%. The field's at 16. Giannis, I'm really not getting any of. The field's at 7. Don't think Giannis is playable, but he could theoretically put up, 2 fantasy points a minute here because it is Washington, and they are that bad. But really, for a spot against Washington here, these guys still kind of priced for, the time where Giannis was out. Giannis himself, a little bit too expensive for how he's played so far this year and where his minutes are at. And frankly, how good the other Bucks have been fantasy-wise. Like, they are taking stats away more than previous Bucks teams have. So not crazy about the Bucks, but, going against Washington, if you make a case for one of these guys, your way to get, a lower-owned lineup, pivot off some chalk, I think that'd be fine. And last game on the slate, we've got Portland and OKC. So Portland again, no Jeremy Grant, no Drew Holiday, still no Scoot. But Portland, as a result, Denny Avdia, the only one popping up meaningfully for me, getting him at 33%, the field's at 16. Caleb Love went nuts last game for Portland, I believe that was, putting up over 20 points. He's not shooting that well, so going to shoot better at some point than 48% true shooting. But I think a game where you get like Sharp and Avdia out is really where Love would be the guy you trust and go to. But the minutes are there for him more because of them having some need to fill, there's bodies missing at a pretty appreciable rate for Portland at this point. Portland has played OKC incredibly hard this year. I don't think it's bad to play Avdia above the field, but, Avdia is really the only one getting known here, and I think that's how it should be. Loves the tournament play. Stokastic has him really high, 26.1 projection. I'm at 22.6. Just not really getting there. Surprised to see that Stokastic has him that high. OKC here, Portland somehow hangs in this game. Obviously, Shea would play a little bit higher than his 30-minute projection that they have here right now. But Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, neither guy projects that well despite having no Hartenstein. Still no Jalen with a Y. So 2 big men there down. AJ Mitchell, the only one popping up, probably because he's a price point pivot for the Bulls at $4,800 salary. I'm getting 12%. But nothing looks that good here. This is your late night hammer. Actually, no, it's 2 8 o'clock games. So this and Washington, Milwaukee are your quote unquote late night hammers. I don't see it for OKC, but if Portland, like if you play Avdia, I do think trying to get SGA, trying to get Jalen Williams, trying to get Holmgren, probably not a bad move. All right, we're going to go to the Stokastic side of things next. We're just going to run their data without my interference on their sim. We'll see what we get on there. And it looks like Looks like they updated not that long ago. This might just be for the early slate, though, would be my guess. We'll rerun stuff, though. Again, guys, show some love if you can. Hit that like button and subscribe. No matter what you're getting out of this video, you're probably getting some value out of it, even if you're just going to fade everything I say, which would be hurtful, and I don't think would work out every day, but some days it probably does. But hit the like button, subscribe here. It goes a long way for me here, along with any creator you enjoy on YouTube, especially as we are fighting. I'm fighting literal companies off in views, and we're doing it well right now. But I need you guys to keep hitting that like button, keep subscribing here, because it does go a long way. Of course, Stokastic, all the stuff I show you here on screen gets updated throughout the day. Check it out for yourself. Really important to get your hands on sims and use them, especially a lot of you guys that, I could tell sometimes you're not really the most familiar with building high ROI lineups based on data. It's a really important part of the process. And I say that with no slight. I'm telling this to you guys because it's important. It's important to get better at DFS unless you just want to donate every single day. So please do check out Stokastic, link down below. And of course, join the channel here, $5 to join. If you want to join as a supporter here, get into the live chats, get into the Discord. If you also want my data updated throughout the night, it is, proprietary to me. It's you and probably like 30 other people in the world using that data. So check it out for yourself. Link down below to join the Squirt Squad tiers. Or the VIP tier if you know how to use the CSV, but don't expect me to handhold it for you because I just give you the projections like any other site out there. All right, your top ROI lineups. We got Kevin Porter Jr., Trey Jones, and this is Stokastic data without my interference. You saw my projections overlaid on their sim. Now you'll see what their sim looks like without that. Porter Jr., Trey Jones, Desunmu, Jalen Smith, so a bunch of bulls up top. Victor Wembanyama, Ryan Rollins, Kevin Herter, and Derek Queen. So natural Bulls Pelicans game stacking here with Derek Queen, and then you are getting 1, 2, 3, 4 Bulls in the lineup. Number 2 ROI lineup according to Stokastic: Jamal Murray, Trey Jones, Kevin Herter, Jalen Smith, Victor Wembanyama, Caleb Love, Matas Buzelis, and Scotty Barnes. So we are swapping the Bulls around here, but still getting 4 Bulls in this lineup, and then some pay-up options around that. Number 3, De'Aaron Fox, Trey Jones again. Julian Champagnie makes this. Jalen Smith, Nikola Vucevic, Kevin Porter Jr., Matas Buzelis, Victor Wembanyama, another 4 Bull lineup. Number 4 ROI lineup is Jamal Murray, Trey Jones, Kevin Herter, Jalen Smith, Victor Wembanyama, Caleb Love, Zion Williamson, and Jonas Valanciunas. So our first one here with only 3 Bulls, but you're getting 3 or 4 Bulls in all your top ROI lineups so far. And number 5, you got Trey Jones, Trey Murphy, double Trey here, Kevin Herter Jr., Jalen Smith, Nikola Vucevic, Caleb Love, Scotty Barnes, Wembanyama. Another 4 Bull lineup and pay-up options around that. So that's the formula for Stokastic today. Your highest ROI players. All right. They're in on Wembanyama. 21% ROI, $9,900 salary for Wembanyama. We'll see what the exposures look like, but that is your highest ROI player, according to Stokastic data. Caleb Love, 14% ROI for him. Again, their projections seem pretty high for him at 26 fantasy points, so it's a pretty big number coming his way. I get why they're getting to him at 4,300. Julian Champagnie, a 4% ROI. Alex Sarr, a 3% ROI. Luke Cornett, 1% and change. Kevin Porter Jr., a 1% as well. It just had Derek Queen, Jamal Murray, and Jalen Smith. Highest exposures across Stokastic's top 150. Trey Jones, and 90% of them. Again, he's mega chalk, but he does seem like he's the most worth it out of all the Bulls. Kevin Herter, 67% exposure. Fields at 59. That's a big stand in favor of Herter, but he's going to get owned a ton by the field as well. Jalen Smith, 59% exposure. Fields at 31. So that's our biggest leverage stand so far. But 3 Bulls up top, not a surprise. Jamal Murray, you're getting to 51%. The Fields at 38. Not as big of a stand as I had, but they are seemingly team. Just trust Jamal Murray here and hope that all the production flows his way. And the fact that it's in Canada, look, I don't care about narrative shit. Like, gotta be this much of a boost too. If you're not gonna play Jamal Murray, like, he's in Canada and he can shoot all the times he wants in the game. That's definitely a reason to consider him. Wouldn't shock if he put up a triple double today, to be honest. Matas Buzelis, like, he either gets his ass kicked or he puts up like 30 in a triple double, I think is how I feel about Jamal Murray. Matas Buzelis, 51% ownership, Fields at 50. So not really a stand there, but you are getting 4 Bulls in the top 5. Wembanyama, 48% exposure, the Fields at 8. So Stokastic is making a big stand in favor of him. I'm a little surprised to see it, to be honest, but his minutes are coming up. If they get past 30, and even if they don't, I mean, he could hit in like 28, but it's a big stand. And Joe Val, too, Stokastic fading pretty meaningfully. Only 43% exposure, Fields at 73. Your Most positively leveraged plays as of right now, 2:44 p.m. on the East Coast. Wembanyama, 40% more in the field. Caleb Love, 30% more in the field. Jalen Smith, 27% more in the field. Kevin Porter Jr., 22% more in the field. And Jamal Murray, 12% more in the field here. So big stands on a lot of guys that were coming up in top lineups. Porter Jr. is the one that I'm a little bit surprised by. I mean, I would say the most surprised by. Kevin Love, I think they might knock that projection down a little bit when they update, but we'll see. Joe Val's your biggest fade, negative 30% leverage. He's still in 43% of lineups, but Stokastic seemingly strongly feels that the 75% or so ownership is not where you want to be. Nikola Vucevic, negative 15% leverage, so you are shaving center ownership off of him as well. 35% exposure, so he's still in more than a third of your top 150 lineups. But, you know, the field's at 50, so it is a fade. Denny Avdia, 7% exposure, field's 17. Stokastic not supporting me here with negative 10% leverage. Zion Williamson, they are lightly fading, though not as much as I had. Only 33% exposure, which is 10% less than the field's expected to have. And Jordan Poole, 5% exposure, which is 9% leverage or negative leverage where the field's going to be. And a big fade on Jalen Williams from the Thunder. Of course, not the big one because he's out. But Jalen Williams, negative 8% leverage, barely getting played compared to the field. We'll do a single lineup sim here, guys. We'll do a handy, and we'll call it a year on the Splash Play channels. Probably no video tomorrow from me, but I do plan on doing one Friday. So stay tuned here. Still, I think I'm going to do projections tomorrow, but keep your eyes peeled because I might be at my in-laws' house, which I did not consent to, but I think that's what I heard. It's not what I was told directly either, but I think that's what we're doing tomorrow. So we'll see how that looks for me, but I'll try to get projections tomorrow no matter what. All right. Top players right now. In point guard, I think, is going to be either Murray or Trey Jones, but let's get Trey Jones in now. The Murray is only point guard. Trey Jones is point guard, shooting guard. I think I'm going to stick with my guns here. I'm going to go Jamal Murray. I'll go Trey Jones at shooting guard. Yeah, we know Stokastic likes this Bulls chalk, so let's give him some of it here. Herder would be my small forward pick as well. Shooting guard is fine for him too. I mean, Buzelis, they're missing a lot of possessions with no Giddey and Kobe White. This feels like a lot of Bulls, but it's really not with what their total is. I still like the Sunmu too. I'm less inclined for Jalen Smith. Though they did start him alongside Vooch in the second half recently. Do I cram in one more Bull? Center for me would let's look at center. I don't think I want to play Vooch here. I feel like the thing for me is going to play all the secondary Bulls pieces and then fade Vooch. That's what I'm feeling about it. Let's go Valanciunas with Jamal Murray. Let's say they both get there in a competitive game. Another guard for me, I think, will be Sunmu. Because he is shooting guard and small forward. We've got 8,400 left. Unfortunately, this might be why Stokastic is pushing Wemby so much. Because, like, you have money to spend if you play a lot of the Bulls. But another forward for me, Scotty Barnes or Avdia would be my picks. I'm going to go Avdia here. Leaves me 7K for one more spot. We go Sar, Bridges, or Vooch. Go to the fifth bowl. I feel like this would get duped. Yeah, Bridges too, I don't have that bad, but Vucevic I would have the highest. Vucevic I have at 37.5. Sar I have at 34. Bridges I have at 35.3. Yeah, so 5 Bulls for me in this lineup. Let's read the team out loud. We got Jamal Murray, Trey Jones, Kevin Herder, Matas Buzelis, Jonas Valanciunas, Ayo Dosunmu, Denny Avdia, Nikola Vucevic, 44% ROI, still wins, 2% top 10 rate. I can live with that. What if I don't go Avdia, what does this look like? I think I would go Barnes then. Barnes forward, 8,400 left. KPJ. This is not bad either. I think that core of the 4 Bulls really feels pretty good. Also a 50% ROI, slightly higher win rate, slightly higher top 10%, maybe a little more duped. Not too hard to build good lineups tonight, be my guess. But that's how it looks right now, guys. I'm going to give you guys my splash plays for the day one more time here in 2025. But also, one last ask in 2025. Please do hit that like button. Please subscribe. Again, it goes a long way for me. I am just one guy here doing the work as best I can. Ultimately, just showing you my gambling, but that does come with a lot of prep work, does come with a lot of effort here to give you guys good data. And of course, I do the best I can for that every day. Hopefully that shows in the videos. But please help me out. Please keep hitting that like button. Please subscribing here so we keep the channel going in the right direction in this brave new year coming up, 2026. Ooh, it's even numbers. Stokastic 15%. I don't know, but I'm running out of content here in 2025. Stokastic 15% off, promo code SPLASH. Link down below. Use the promo code SPLASH when you get over there to get that 15% off, but it does save you money. It does also go half the money to me that you're paying to Stokastic. So really a big win-win for us all, but really important to keep doing that so we can keep the channel going. It's a big way I'm able to support what I do here is by you guys signing up and using that promo code SPLASH at Stokastic. And last but not least, join the Discord. $5 to join here. Of course, you get access to this live chat that is always popping here if you want to be part of the VIPs, but also if you want to be in the Discord, chatting it up here, hearing all the great takes from other people in the community too, check it out. Link down below. And if you want my data updated throughout the night as well, join one of the Squirt Squad tiers and you will get that for yourself fairly easily. All right, splash plays for the day. Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, Iota Sunmu, Matas Buzelis. To me, second tier would be Jalen Smith. I guess I'd put Vooch the first tier, even though I'll be a little bit low on him. You got to play bulls. All the bulls should just rotate them around, put different ones in, put in a bunch of bulls, see how it goes. Like, I think the more bulls you put in, I guess your ownership product probably gets pretty high. But I do think people are smart enough in NBA generally that they won't play a ton of bulls. And this is one situation where, like, I think if you play 5, you might be able to get away with playing 6. 6 is probably pushing it, but like, you might be able to get away with playing 5 today because they're just missing the most important players for that team. And the total is so high for Chicago. Like, it might be a really unique situation where, like, you have 5-6 Bulls players putting up 30, 40, because missing Giddey, missing Kobe White, like, that's massive opportunity left behind. Besides those guys, though, besides the obvious Bull stuff, I do want to get Joe Val in half my lineups. I do think, though, that 75% is probably a little bit too high for him. You want to take different looks with how center looks, especially if you're going to play a bunch of Bulls, you know, alongside that. Jamal Murray definitely is a splash play. Denny Avdia, I would say, is a splash play. You could afford him. I think that's it. I mean, that's more than enough of a core, I would think. But gamble responsibly, guys, especially this time of year, heading into the new year. Very important to be mindful of your bankroll, even though it is always money time here on these channels. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Bets on YouTube, at Splash Play Pod on Twitter. You'll get my NBA and NFL videos. And that's it for 2025, guys. So thank you guys for being here on the channel. Thanks for watching, even if you're somebody that is, no, I'm not going to thank the trolls. No thank you to the trolls, but to everybody else, the normal human beings that watch this video, that get something out of it, that are here every day, that are here once and don't show up for days, then see the video again and go like, oh, that guy did a good job. Let me watch it again. I appreciate all of you guys out there. So shout out to all of you. Hope it's a good new year. No matter, and if you are a troll, hey, it could be a better 2026. Clean that mouth off. That's your, I didn't mean like you're blowing somebody, like, you know, but get yourself right. Do a better job in 2026. We'll all do a better job in 2026. That's the hope. And if not, you know, this will always apply. You want it to be one way, but it is in fact, it's the other way. I'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Enjoy your year. Good luck. And catch you in 2026, guys. All right. Bye-bye.